Hey guys, welcome to 6 Minutes. I'm Jason Fulmore, SC Wrestle, and we have a special edition Georgia Elite 8 State Duels conversation between Fat and Scrappy's Lucas DeSilva and myself, where we go into two classifications, talk about them in greater detail, and depending on which one you're watching, it should be on the slide at the beginning. And there's a couple of cuts so that I could do an intro and a conclusion that will be the same for all of them. But the middle chunk is actually all new information, depending on whichever classification you chose. First, congratulations to all the teams that punched their ticket to the Elite Eight. It's going to be a fun weekend in Georgia, all over the place, because the Georgia High School Activities Association doesn't host it all in one location, meaning that if you're interested in a Jefferson Cass matchup or a potential 5A matchup there, you're going to have to be in Jones County and not somewhere else. And from my perspective, that's a shame, because I want to see all these duels. They're going to be a ton of fun, and we expect some Cinderella stories, and looking forward to some outstanding both individual and dual matchups. One thing I want to say before I kick this off, and I don't want to take too long because Lucas and I have a tendency to talk too long, is that if you're interested in like the brackets and the potential lineups, you can go to SC Wrestle on the website and kind of look at that in greater detail. I did my own fans guide where I kind of broke it down. In this one, I kind of go back and forth a little bit with Lucas, but let him take the majority of the time talking about what he thinks as it relates to each of the individual each of the dual matchups. Hope you enjoy it. Best of luck this weekend. 8 teams with the girls now will crown dual state champions this weekend. Hope you make a run for it. Good luck. See ya. Bye. All right. Back with Lucas DeSilva. Fat and Scrappy's Lucas DeSilva. Hey, man. Wow, that's quite a pack of stuff you got there.
One weekend, 18, 7 classes, and another gender. State Duels weekend is here, and damn, I was wrong on some of my predictions from a week ago. This is, I don't know about you, Jason. I love the individual tournament, but boy, I think my favorite time of year is duel season, baby.
You know, I love duels. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love traditional. I think it's so fun. But the truth is, when we talk about teams, I mean, look, you can put together the 5 best kids in the country. But if you don't have a few other kids who can step in and do something, you're going to lose a duel. Yep. And this is a team, man. And we saw that last weekend with a ton of stuff.
Yeah, a couple spots we saw that where, having a lot of great kids, it does all good and well for you. But if you don't have the extras that we talked about last year, if you don't have the coaching in certain circumstances to get through certain spots, it ain't going to end well for you. And it's just one of those things where this time of year I always get jumpy because, I was denied a dual title. So, I feel for those that this is their last run. And, they may have not gotten one yet. I feel for them. And, it's just you got to give everything you got. And it's an exciting time. By the way, quick shout out before we get going. Quick shout out to the guys down at Hitchka. They hosted me at the Gator Brawl. Legitimately, Jason, a humbling experience, that tournament. Humbling in a lot of ways. A really cool event. Hey, if you're a small Georgia team, and you know that duels, you guys aren't really built for it. You're in a tough region. Maybe you got a small roster. Hey, it is a great event. If you want to send your JV, if you want to get a real good last JV tournament, hit me up or hit Jason up to get in contact with me. I'll put you in contact with guys down in Hitchka. It's a small area in Florida that, they've had some struggles, and I'd love to help build that area up. They were an incredible host to me. Shout out the Easters, Jay Rush and Christine, obviously Kaylee and the crew for hosting me. I was blessed to be able to get on the mic and cover for them. And sorry, Sam Tolomeo, for butchering your name when I was doing the announcing. My fault.
As you butcher most people's name, as we all do. Like, to be fair.
Butchered it. They were getting the phone going. I said, Sam Tolomeo, and I had to stop. I had to stop real quick and be like, Tolomeo. Sam Tolomeo. It was bad.
It happens. It happens. It's one of those things. Well, what we're going to do is let's give just kind of I'm going to give a little bit of an overview. We're going to talk a little bit of overview, and then we're going to transition to 2 classifications, and we'll do that all the way through. Does that work for you?
Yep. And we're going to get in the trenches.
In the trenches, 100%.
Well, I'm getting in the trenches. So we'll see.
All right.
Are you in that foxhole with me? We'll find out.
Yeah, we will. I'm not sure I'm quite in the trenches as you are, but we'll see. We'll see where we get. We'll see where we get to. So let's start. Let's start with a couple of runs, and these are things that you don't but you don't necessarily know in terms of some of this. And I'm gonna kind of throw it all the way around so we can just kind of set the landscape. Camden County has won a dual title every year since 2015. They are looking to add another one this year in what's going to be a fantastic 7A. Do you know what team, and it's not Camden, has finished top 4 in every single one of the duals championships since they began in 2002?
Commerce.
Nope.
Really? They did.
It is not Commerce. I'll give you one more guess.
Not Jefferson, because I know there was a year that they bowed out.
No, it was Jefferson.
Oh, really? I must have flipped them because I was convinced that there was a year where they bowed out and ended up getting dropped in the Bloods.
Nope. Jefferson has finished from 2002 to 2022 21 times.
That's
in
incredible.
The top 4. Now they did have some challenges, right? They did finish 3rd or 4th in at least 1 or 2 of those. But yeah, they had quite a run, and from 2002 to 2019, they won 19 consecutive dual titles. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, very. That's consistency, and doing it for 20 years. That is doing it over multiple classifications, over multiple rule sets, where the landscape of Georgia wrestling had changed so much. It's a testament to, when I have the argument about what teams have been the most dominant in the history of Georgia, Jefferson has got to be in that list. They have got to be in the top 4 minimum.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you brought the different classifications because they won it in 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A. So if they win it this year, they'll add another class to their thing too.
And now this I do know. What is the biggest number of different classifications that a team has won a championship in?
Oh, is it?
I know this.
Is it 4?
It is 4. Now, who did it?
How many has done it? Jefferson did it.
It's been done by 2, Jefferson and Gilmer.
And Gilmer. Okay. All right.
I went digging through the classified archive, or not the classifieds, the historical archives on GHSA's website.
All right. Okay. I love that. I love that. So
knowledge. Knowledge, son. Speaking of knowledge, son, quick shout out Cliff Fretwell. This is a throwback compound tee. Shout out.
Love
throwback.
I love it. I love it. All right. So we got a lot of history, right? And again, we're still just setting the stage. We got a lot of history. Tryon, they won it last year. They didn't win it in 21. They won it in 2020. We've got history with Social Circle. We've got history with Gilmer, with a bunch of these different teams that are at the top, right? But then we've got some new debutantes, man. We got some new teams in the mix. How fun is it to see, like the East Jacksons and, these new teams that we don't get to see very often in the Elite 8?
You want to talk about a program that I'm happy for. I worked with East Jackson over the summer, and I thought they were a year away. I really did. And Coach Eager, shout out to him. He was texting me, "Oh, you gonna pick Pierce against? Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay, watch this." Bro, 7 freshmen in their lineup, 2 seniors. They are a young, hungry group. I'm excited to see them. Even if they go 0-2 barbecue, you made it to the state duels. Right. This is an accomplishment that not every team gets, not every team has done. So it's exciting to see for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and And they're not the only team that is kind of making, I don't want to say a debut. Murray County came from a number 4 spot in 2A to make the Elite Eight.
Yep.
We've seen lots of teams kind of step
Temple,
in.
White hot
Temple, right?
White hot.
Yeah, no, 100%. So first, I think the thing that we want to say is congratulations to everyone who's gotten to this point. It is a fantastic team achievement.
8x8. That's 64?
64.
Yep. So only 64 teams remain.
That's right. Well, and I think the actual truth is it 63?
Oh, don't start being pedantic about teams having double entrance. I get that. All right. Well, don't even do it.
No, I know. But the reason that's interesting is that shout out to Chastity, right? Shout out to Woodward Academy. Shout out to Gilmer. Those are all teams that have both a men's team and a women's team in the Elite Eight.
Now imagine if one of them can do the double.
Whoa, no, that'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
So now that's a thing where you can do the double now. Now we got to start talking about, hey, is there something to be said that if you're going to be the real dominant power in Georgia, you got to hit the quad? Is that something that a team needs to look for? That would be a girls' duels title, a men's duels title, your team individual championship for the men and for the women. There's so many new possibilities that are here, and we are going to remember the names Campbell, Chestatee, Carrollton, Woodward, Osborne, Gilmer, Jordan, Greenbrier, as this is the first 8. These are the groundbreakers. The first duels championship held in the girls' division is between these 8, and it is up for grabs at Buford High School on the 20th. What more storyline do you need there?
Yeah. So no, let's stop and let's go to 3A and 5A. Does that work for you?
Yep.
All right. So 3A features number 1 seed Gilmer, number 2 is Columbus, 3 is Ringgold, 4 is Franklin County. How did you do in picking your 8?
This one was a little rough. This was 4 out of 8. I had a Daresville over White County in the Pike quad. I didn't even have Pike making the final, so apologies to the Pikeans. I had Morgan over Gordon Lee. Didn't get that one right. I had Lumpkin over Bremen, and Bremen did exactly what Bremen does, and that's just somehow find a way to win when I only know like 5 of their kids. I don't know. They do this every year, and I keep picking against them. I've done it now 3 years in a row. I need to stop being an idiot. And then I picked Hart County over Long County, and that would have been the quad with Lafayette.
Lafayette. I think it's Lafayette. I think somebody sent me a pronouncer, and it was Lafayette.
I don't know. I at this point, I don't know.
But they're in, and they draw Gilmer first, which is a tough draw right off the scale.
Hey, welcome to State Duels, Gilmer, off the scale. Go get you some. Go get you some.
So Gilmer, what we're faced with in this situation is history and kind of newcomers. And what I mean by that
Agreed.
is Gilmer has the history. They're the 1 seed. They've been here. They've won 9 state titles. They haven't won one since 2016 though in duels.
Yeah, because they were losing to Woodward. Yeah, they lost to Woodward. I know that. And
I don't know who they lost to.
They lost to Jefferson. No, they lost to Jefferson twice. Because I remember my freshman and sophomore year, I got to watch Boomy and Matthew Waddell in the finals one year. That was my freshman year. Then they lost to Woodward because I remember, this is one of my favorite memories ever, when they beat Gilmer, Nick Masters was crying in my arms with me because he was so overcome with joy. And that's still one of my coolest memories because it was obvious that he gave everything for them and that they got that job done. You want to talk about a team that's underrated? That Woodward team, the Wiley brothers, Vincent Manella. Dear God, that team was good. Yeah, dear God, that team was good.
So we also have history with Bremen. They haven't won a title since 2017, mostly 1A and 2A a little bit. We're now up at 3A, although they have wrestled in 3A. They have 16 top 4 finishes. So they've been around a long time, but they actually haven't they haven't finished top 4, I don't think, since 2018. So it's been a minute. And then we've got Columbus, who is a 2 seed. And, they've been to the state duels before. They were here last year, but they haven't been on the podium since like 2005 or 2006. So this is a long time ago for Columbus. First question I guess I have for you is, out of the 4 underdogs, Lafayette and Pike County and Bremen and Gordon Lee, who has the best shot of pulling an upset, or does anyone have a shot of pulling an upset?
I think Ringgold does. They match up real well with Bremen, at least from what I could tell.
Ringgold's the 3 seed.
Oh, sorry. Flip that. Sorry. Bremen. Bremen, I think, has a real good shot matching up with them. Ringgold matches up with them rather well, but here's the issue. I never know what you get out of Bremen. So
as evidenced by what you said previously.
Yeah, as evidence. I really like Bremen. I like their staff. I do. I want to pick against them, but my mind tells me don't be an idiot. So I think that Bremen will actually get through Ringgold.
I think there's only one team in these 8 who have never finished top 4 at the state duels.
Who would that be?
That would be Franklin County, who have wrestled really, really well, and they're the 4 seed. Do you have them as part of your top 4 this year?
I do, actually. I do. I think they're in a real good position. I think they'll get past Pike. I think they'll lose to Gilmer and the Sems. And then in the Bloods, I have them defeating Ringgold.
All right. So let's go ahead and break it down. You already gave me, I know they're one of your top 4. So our final, is it Gilmer versus Columbus?
Yes, it is. And you know what?
Well, you're going to change your mind at the last second here again? Holy cow. Okay. All right. Who wins?
My matrix tells me Gilmer. My gut tells me Secoy and Wynn and the crew pull the upset in Stevens. The shocker in Stevens. Give me Columbus. They leave Stevens County. Your 3A state champions. Give me Columbus. Give me Gilmer. Give me Franklin in 3rd. And give me Bremen to get back in 4th place.
Okay. All right. Okay. It's
Columbus has chased real good competition this year. They've wrestled real good. They've wrestled real tough at a lot of these events. I think their kids are battle tested. I don't know as much about Gilmer, but in events that I have seen them in, they've taken some odd results. And if you look at my matrix, they've went down in points pretty much every ranking since, I had them in the preseason, I had them as an 8-8. They go to an 8-6. And Thanksgiving, in New Year's, they dropped to an 8-3. Not even in my pound for pound top 10. Columbus has only risen. I think Columbus is trajecting upward. I think Gilmer's kind of plateaued a little bit because, again, unless that's the thing is I haven't seen them at these types of real good events. Not to say that, they've been hiding from anybody, but, they've been real selective with their events this year.
Well, and for me, it's a race to 8, right? Because if you get 8 wins, most of the time, unless
you're probably going to win,
you're probably going to win, right? Like we're talking like 98% of the time you win. So 8 wins. So you've got Secoy, you've got McGowan up top. You now have Mason Persons at 13. You have Tyler Nguyen at 20. You got JT McDaniel at 26. That's 5.
Don't forget Rydell. Don't forget Adrian Villegas Rydell
right.
At 150, who's been in the mix of my rankings. So this is what's interesting.
Right. So 5 or 6, right? So you have to find 2 more or 1 more and get some bonus points. And you're hard to beat.
So in my rankings, for those who don't know, I pretty much seek out the top 15 to 20 guys, and that's who's on my spreadsheet. Gilmer has 4 guys in that group. Columbus has 4 guys in that group. And there's a couple matchups that could happen. And to me, I think Columbus is in the spot where if you got 2 ranked kids, their kids have been battle tested. Their kids are going to be able to go through the fire and get the job done, whether it's in overtime, late, they got to hang on, they got to go get a takedown. I just feel like they've been in that environment more this year. But if Gilmer wins, I'm not surprised. Like, it's not like I'm saying that I think Columbus is going to mop them. I think it's going to be like a 4-point duel at most. That might be a criteria one. We had, Wes Lawrence and Jefferson last year that went to criteria. Don't be surprised.
All right. So let's jump to 5A. And if it's not the number one, like, most anticipated duel in Georgia this year, it's number 2, right? I mean, let's be honest. I don't want to. We're not saying anything about the other teams in 7A, but we're pretty much looking at Buford Camden to be. I mean, we want to see that matchup. The same thing in 5A. Not to say anything against anybody else, but Cass Jefferson have seemed to be like trains headed towards one another. And we'll just see what happens.
All roads kind of lead to this dual meet happening.
It sure seems like it, right? So before we get to that, and before we, and I know I jumped the gun in talking about that. Yeah, let's talk about the seeds. Cass is 1, Jefferson's 2, Ola's 3, Cambridge is 4. How did you do? No,
you're wrong. Cambridge is the 3, Ola's the 4, Harris is your 5, Woodland's your 6, Locust at 7, Eastside at 8.
Did I post the wrong thing? I must have posted the wrong thing. Oh, probably. You're funny.
Well,
all right. So let's take a look.
Which actually Ola should be the 3, but Cambridge being the 3. I don't know about that.
I wonder if it changed after I posted it, or maybe I just made a mistake. Anyway, yeah. So Cambridge is 3, Ola's the 4. So,
my seeds were a bit different.
Okay. So before we get to your seeds, how did you do coming into this out of predicting your
7 of 8? If it wasn't for Woodland, I would have been 8 for 8 if it wasn't for Woodland. Thanks, guys. Love you.
Woodland beating Greenbrier was definitely one that that was a surprise. All right. So in terms of seeds, you got Cass and Jefferson, and then that's where it gets a little bit. Maybe I just projected. I thought Ola would be the 3 seed.
I had it Cass, Jefferson, Ola, Cambridge, and Harris. I had as 4, 5 pretty much interchangeably. But I also, I wouldn't have been, honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if we got this dual matchup just flipped. So if we had Ola as the 3, Harris is the 6, Cambridge is the 4, Woodland is the 5. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. And then, I mean, Locust Grove and East Side, God bless to you, but you know,
it's a tough pull.
Yeah, it's a tough pull. I kind of knew that was going to happen.
All right.
I called East Side winning from the 3 spot. I feel impressed about that. I called them winning from the 3. That a little something. Well, a little bit.
So out of the bottom 4 teams, East Side, Harris County, Woodland, and Locust Grove, do you have any of them finishing in the top 4?
I got Woodland on the podium.
You do? All right.
Yeah, I have Woodland on the podium. I think that they are a really good dual team. They're well coached. They are 14 guys that know each other. They know how to bang. They have your heavy hitters. You got Santora, obviously, who's coming to his own. Up top, you got Quadarius Wilson. They cap in their lineup real well. I have a feeling that they'll get on the podium. I do.
It's interesting. You went from not having them in the top 8 to being on the podium.
Well, because
you had Greenbrier on the podium.
Greenbrier and Woodland were in my top 6. If you go back to my rankings, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to look at that match while we have this little sidebar discussion. Yeah, I had Woodland ranked number 4, and I had Greenbrier ranked number 6. But I stuck with Greenbrier because my gut told me that they were hot, which they were. But Woodland was able to get the job done. And I will admit, probably a little bit of me liking the Greenbrier crew came into play. I'll admit that. I probably let my feelings toward them as a group cloud my judgment, and that's okay. I understand it. It is what it is. But I feel like Woodland is a fantastic organization. They know how to win, and I think that they'll get through Cambridge. I think they'll drop to Jefferson, and then I think they'll beat probably Harris County to get onto the podium.
All right. All right. So who do you have? Let's put Jefferson and Cass to the side for just a second. And who else do you have on the podium besides Woodland?
I have Ola coming in third. I really
Ola
believe they're
coming
the
in
third. I think they're the third best team in this class. I do. I think that, I caught some flack on my most recent rankings. I'll be honest, I didn't know that they had lost to Pisgah in a dual meet, and they probably wouldn't have been in that pound for pound. But they are still to me a great team. They know how to win. They know how to fight, and you're not going to out brawl them. Like, you're not going to bully ball them. So I really like them.
All right. So let's now jump to the duel, Cass Jefferson, and how do you see that playing out, assuming that is our 5A final?
That is a loaded question because, oh my God, this couldn't have worked out more perfect. Both of them have 8 guys ranked, and the problem is there's so many matchups. I think the X factor is Sammy Brown, getting him back, but I'm also going to say I don't think he's ready. I think he's not going to be 100% because he is only just coming back.
He doesn't need to be. I mean, up at 215 for them
sure
against
about that?
Cass. Who does Cass have at 215?
Who says they don't need a fall?
Okay, they might need a fall, but I mean, still, he's probably going to get a fall because the strength of the Cass squad, to be fair, is Lee Camp at 6, is Craps somewhere at 26 or 32.
Well, but here's the thing.
Then McKnight's, Doolittle, that's the strength of.
You have to imagine they're going to get bonus at 6. Cass, right?
They should, yeah.
Then you got Bellardo for Jefferson, so you're going to go 1-1.
Right.
Then you hit 20, where it's going to depend on who weighs in where, but if Chaz is down at 20, I think you get that one. Then you hit Craps. You're not holding bonus unless, now here's the other thing. Do they take the chance and try to run him at Dallas? And then if you're Jefferson, you rebump, and then you put yourself in a situation where somewhere in your middleweights, you're going to lose one of your guys, whether it's Benson or you're going to have somebody out of position.
Right.
I think.
And the question is Dendy back?
I was about you. That's another thing. Is Dendy back in the lineup? I'm going to say this. This might be the duel which is most decided by the coin toss. Because if Jefferson can get the matchups, I think Jefferson can win. If Cass gets the matchups, I think Cass wins. But in the end, I'm going to stick to my matrix. I have Cass as my number 1 team, class for class, in the state of Georgia. Give me Cass, the Colonels, this is going to be a 3-point duel maximum. This is not going to be a blowout. This is a wire-to-wire dogfight between 2 of the most illustrious teams in the past handful of years in the state of Georgia. 2 teams with some of the best guys in the state, pound for pound, class for class, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
This is a star-studded dual meet. If you're in that Jones County area, and you're not there, you don't love wrestling. I said it. You don't love wrestling. I said it. If you're within like an hour of Jones County, you don't go to this, you don't love wrestling.
All right. So that is 3A and 5A. I agree with you. 3A.
If you're pregnant, hold that sucker in for another day. Gotta get there on the 21st. Son.
All right. So 3A and 5A. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, potentially 2 fantastic title matches between Gilmer and Columbus, Jefferson and Cass. Not to say that there won't be somebody else that they might get in there and upset or whatever, but on paper, those look like the teams that are going to emerge in 3A and 5A. Question I have for you is 3A or 5A your favorite classification as far as these Elite 8s?
Close, but no.
No. All right. We'll get to that.
Close, but no.
We'll get to that in another one. How's that sound? What is it about the state duels that makes it so great?
I think, in traditional, there's this kind of me mentality. And then that's the way it should be. You are hunting in February. You will be hunting for state championship for yourself. This is to etch your name in the history books. And now, while you still do that in duels, you are etching you and 13 of your brothers, in some cases sisters, that you go to war with. These are the kids that you've bled with. These are the kids that, when things went wrong in my life, I went to my teammates. And I'd imagine for some of you, it's the exact same. Whether it's a bad home life, whether it's school being tough, whether it's, wrestling gives you this sense of community and confidence in yourself that I don't think a lot of sports do. And if you are one of these kids this weekend on these 64 teams lineup, since he wants to be pedantic about how many teams are there, enjoy this moment. It is a moment that leaves you very quickly. If you are a freshman, take it in. Take a moment to, while you're warming up, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I'm getting goosebumps. Like, take a moment to take it in and just look around and realize you are wrestling with the other top 7 teams in your classification for a state championship. And at the end of the day, no one can take that away from you. And if you're a senior and this is your last run, hey, you got to give everything you got and then some. This is where you got to be willing to go to the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean, where you got to go to the deepest, darkest parts of your mind in certain cases of what are you willing to give for the man next to you. It's duels for me is so. This to me is the most user-friendly thing about wrestling. If you want to build the sport of wrestling, to me, it's through duels. I love tournaments, but to me, it's through duels because it is, hey, we're from this area, you're from another area, we're booting your door down, and we're gonna handle you. Like we're gonna give you the smoke. Well, that's what I love about duels.
And the level of strategy that's involved, the level of creating matchups that's involved, the trying to, this is the one environment where you're a kid who might be 7 and 12 on the year and are stepping in at 138 pounds. And your coach is like, I need you to fight for 6 minutes. Just fight for 6 minutes. Give me everything you've got.
1,000 takedowns.
That's right. But you do not give up 6 points. 6 points is going to be the difference between us winning as a team or losing as a team. And it involves everyone. That's what makes duels so great.
It came in a losing effort, but one of my favorite duel stories was Colin Wagner, who, while my brother, going to be in my wedding one day, when I eventually find someone to marry, he wasn't the best wrestler. Love that kid to death. We told him to go out there against Gaston Garrett, who's a killer from Camden, and not give up 6. And he gave up a decision. It was in a losing effort. But that moment as the clock was ticking down and Etheridge was jumping and pumping his little 4'9" fist in the air, I was losing my mind. Our whole cheering section was going ballistic. And he was getting this beaten out of him. He was down there eating some of the meanest cross faces I've seen in my life. But he got up, legitimately bruised and cut on one side, got up. It's funny to me.
And it could have, honestly, it could have been. I don't know if you
guys could tell, but the hair's sticking up. Like
it could have been in a winning effort. I mean,
oh my God,
everybody's got a job to do. You know what I mean? Everybody's got a job to do.
If we win that duel, he goes down in history. Like if we win that duel, he's immortalized in the lore of Collins Hill. And that's the thing is, some of you, some kids are really good, but you don't have your legacy yet. This could be a legacy moment for you, helping lead your team to a state duels title. In certain cases, what we talked about, where they've never had one, or maybe it's been years since they have had one. This is where you mark your name in history. And Lucas, I want to see them all get after it.
I appreciate you taking the time, man. It's been a lot of fun breaking down these duels with you. And you know what? I don't know that we'll talk next week after the whole thing is done, but maybe we'll revisit things once we pull back around to traditionals. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good for me.
All right, man. You take care.
Peace.
See ya.
See ya.